Good morning. Today we are going to take the second part of our fourth chapter, why classification. Okay. So last class or previous class we have studied about the importance of classification and what is classification and what is taxonomy and who proposed taxonomy. All these things we have studied in the previous class, and how we are naming an organism. All these things we have studied. Today we are going to study about binomial nomenclature proposed by Carl Linnaeus. So the scientist Carl Linnaeus proposed the system of binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature means scientific naming. And the need of this scientific naming is, we have discussed in our previous class that an organism or a plant in different areas is known in different names. So locally, an organism or a plant is known in different names in different local areas. So if like that occurs, there will be a confusion among the people itself regarding that, in order to know about the details of that organism. If that organism is known in different names, in different locality or different places, there will be a confusion regarding that organism. For example, papaya. Papaya in different local name, that is omega, karmus, kaplana, like that different name is having for papaya. So, like that, each organism is having, each animal or bird is having different names. So, if we are telling a particular name in a particular area, apart from our area, if we are going any place and telling that name of a plant, that plant will be knowing in another name in that locality. Understood? നമ്മൾ ഒരു ഏരിയയിൽ പോയിട്ട് നമ്മളുടെ ഏരിയയിലെ ഒരു പ്ലാന്റിനെ പറയുന്ന പേരാവില്ല വേറൊരു ഏരിയയിൽ ആ പ്ലാന്റിനെ ഒരു ലൊക്കാലിറ്റിയിൽ ആ പേര് പ്ലാന്റ് പറയാം. So if we are telling that name in that area, അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഒരു വേറെ സ്ഥലത്ത് പോയിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ആ പ്ലാന്റിന്റെ പേര് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അവർക്ക് അതിനെ കുറിച്ച് യാതൊരു ഐഡിയ ഇല്ല. So in order to avoid that confusion, in order to avoid such confusions, what binomial nomenclature was. Is it clear for you? So binomial nomenclature is proposed by the scientist Carl Linnaeus, and that's in this method that is scientific name. A scientific name is given to a plant or an animal or an organism. So if that scientific name is given, that's in the worldwide, that organism will be known in that scientific name itself. We have studied in our previous class that the scientific name of coconut is Cocos muscifera. So in the worldwide, if we are going any place, we are learning about Cocos muscifera, the people can understand that it is coconut. And about mango, and the scientific name of mango tree is Mangifera indica. So if you are going in any place and telling about Mangifera indica, they can understand it's about the mango tree. Is it clear for you? So this is about the importance of scientific naming, and now we can see about some more point about the binomial nomenclature. So Carl Linnaeus, Carolus Linnaeus, full form. Carolus Linnaeus is the name of that scientist, and he proposed binomial nomenclature. In binomial nomenclature, each species assigned a two-part scientific name. The scientific name is always written in italics or underlined. So you know that different writing methods are there, bold, italic, like that. In that, italics is used to write the scientific names, or that scientific name will be underlined. The first word, the genus, is capitalized. So we have already told that genus plus species constitute the scientific name. In that, the genus name, first genus name will be written in the capital letter. The first word of the genus will be written in the capital letter. The second word, that is the species name, is in the lowercase. That means in the small letter. Example, genus, species. There you can see that genus G is given as a capital letter, and small letter S is given for the species. And human Homo sapien is the scientific name of humans. There you can see genus name of genus human is Homo. So that H is the capital letter, and sapien S, that is the species name of the human. Sapien is written in the small letter. That's about the binomial nomenclature. And now we can see another explanation about the binomial nomenclature. Some more points, some more detailed points about the binomial nomenclature. Here you can see binomial nomenclature is the scientific naming of organisms. Scientific name consists of two words. First word indicates genus and the second word indicates species. Scientific name of man is Homo sapiens. Earlier, and we know that earlier two kingdom classification. That means you have studied now about the two kingdom classification. But after that, the two kingdom classification is about plants and animals. That again modified into five kingdom classification by the scientist Robert H. Whittaker. And that five kingdom classification: Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, animals. Then another scientist after that, Carl Rules, added domain about kingdom and explained into six kingdom classification. So earlier it was two kingdom classification, that is plants and animals. Now you have studied only about the plants and animals, and that is known as the two kingdom classification: kingdom plantae and kingdom animalia. That is two kingdom classification. That two kingdom classification was proposed by the Carolus Linnaeus, or Carl Linnaeus is the scientist who proposed the two kingdom classification. But later, other scientists studied about more detail about the organisms. So there arises a question that in plants and animals, they are telling about only plants and animals. But where we should place these microorganisms in our earth? Not only the plants and animals are living. We know that so many microorganisms. Microorganisms means those organisms we can't see with our naked eye. And so many organisms are there in our earth. Diverse organisms, different kinds of organisms. So where we should place such organisms. We can't call them as a plant. We can't call them as an animal. So apart from this plant and animal, and if an organism is there, where we should place this organism. So in order to remove such a difficulty, the five kingdom classification is proposed. Now we can see what about the five kingdom classification. The five kingdom classification, Robert H. Whittaker is the first man who proposed the five kingdom classification. So two kingdom classification, you should keep in mind the scientist is Carolus Linnaeus, or Carl Linnaeus is the scientist who proposed the two kingdom classification. And after the two kingdom classification came the five kingdom classification. Robert H. Whittaker is the scientist who proposed the five kingdom classification. The five kingdom classification, the five kingdoms are Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, animalia. So these are the five kingdoms. And about the type of the organisms coming under this each kingdom. Under the kingdom Monera, unicellular prokaryotes are coming under the kingdom Monera. And about Protista, unicellular eukaryotes comes under the kingdom Protista. You know about the prokaryotes and eukaryotes. The organisms without without the nucleus present in the cell, and without nucleus is called prokaryotes. And those organisms having nucleus present in their cell is called as the eukaryotes. And about unicellular, a single cell, those organisms having a single cell is called as the unicellular. And more than those organisms having more than one cell, it is known as the multicellular. Okay, so Monera, the kingdom Monera, the organisms coming under that is unicellular, prokaryotes. And mode of nutrition in the Monera, that is autotrophic or heterotrophic. They may be preparing the food by themselves or they may be depending on others for the food. Then about the body, and that is lack well-defined nucleus and cell organelles. So in the Monera, the organisms coming under Monera, they are not having well-defined nucleus and cell organelles. That we have already told. Prokaryotes do not have nucleus in their cell. Then about Monera, those organisms coming under Monera examples are bacteria, blue-green algae, etc. are the example for Monera. Next, we are going to study about the Protista. Next kingdom is Protista. Unicellular eukaryotes. Eukaryotes, autotrophic or heterotrophic. They are also autotrophic or heterotrophic. Some organisms use pseudopodia or cilia or flagella for movement. So pseudopodia, cilia, flagella, all these are locomotory organs used for the locomotion. So according to the organism, these locomotory organs also differ. Then example for Protista is amoeba, paramecium, then euglena, etc. are the examples. In euglena, flagella is used for locomotion. Paramecium, cilia is used for locomotion. Then next kingdom is fungi. Fungi, they are multicellular, non-green eukaryotes, eukaryotic organisms. Then they may be saprophytic or parasitic, sometimes symbiotic, their mode of nutrition. Then fungus is made up of long filaments called hyphae. The network of hyphae is known as mycelium. So the structure of fungus is they are made up of long filament called hyphae, and the network of the hyphae is known as the mycelium. Example for fungi is yeast, then rhizopus, then mushrooms, then molds, etc. comes under the fungus. Then plantae, it's a familiar kingdom for you. Multicellular eukaryotes comes under the kingdom plantae. They are autotrophic. We all know that plants are autotrophic. They prepare food by themselves. And those organisms which depend on others for food is known as the heterotrophic. They exhibit high level of tissue differentiation and have specialized body organs. Then trees, plants, shrubs, all those comes under the kingdom plantae. Then comes the animalia. Animalia, animals. All the animals comes under the group Animalia. They are multicellular eukaryotic and they are heterotrophic. Animals cannot prepare food by themselves. They are depending others for food. So they are known as heterotrophic. Then exhibits high level of tissue differentiation and have specialized body organs. They have well-developed nervous system for the animals. And the example for Animalia is fish, insects, animals, human beings, and birds. All this comes under the kingdom Animalia. I think it's clear for you about the 5 kingdom classification. It's clear for you. Monera, Protista, fungus, plantae, Animalia. All this comes under the 5 kingdom classification. Is it clear for you? Now, after the 5 kingdom classification, what's the reason for the arrival of 6 kingdom classification? That is Monera. Now we study about the Monera. The kingdom Monera, wherein that archaea and the 2 kinds of bacteria is coming, archaea and bacteria. And when the scientists studied about this archaebacteria, their physiological structure and their characteristics are different from the kingdom Monera. So, as they have studied about their physiological structure, the kingdom Monera is different. So, the kingdom archaebacteria, the Monera, the archaebacteria, their physiological structure and other characteristics are different from the other bacteria present in the Monera. So there's a need to classify one more. There's a need to add one more level of classification, that is domain, and that is the 6 kingdom classification. Now we can see about the six kingdom classification. So the six kingdom classification. The six kingdom classification is proposed by Carl Woos. The scientist who proposed the six kingdom classification is Carl Woos. The Carl Woos proposed the six kingdom classification. In six kingdom classification, you can see domain, and the sixth level of classification is domain. We have studied up to kingdom. We have studied, but after the kingdom, one more level of is there. Level of classification is there. That is domain. So domain, in the domain and bacteria. Domain bacteria, for the bacteria, the domain bacteria, kingdom bacteria. Then about archaebacteria, for them the domain is archaea and kingdom archaea. They comes under the kingdom archaea. And domain eukarya, under the domain eukarya comes the kingdoms, kingdom protista, kingdom fungi, kingdom plantae, and kingdom animalia. These four kingdoms are grouped under the domain eukarya, and domain archaea, under the domain archaea comes the kingdom archaea. Then under the domain bacteria comes the kingdom bacteria. So the sixth level of classification is domain, and it was proposed by the scientist Carl Woos. And the need to propose the six kingdom classification is Monera consists of Monera consists of a bacteria called archaebacteria, and the structure, physiological structure of this archaebacteria is different from the other organism present in the Monera. So it should be kept in another kingdom. That's why there came a six kingdom classification by the scientist Carl Woos. So once more I tell you, after the kingdom comes the next level of classification, that is domain. And for bacteria, domain is bacteria itself, kingdom bacteria. Then domain archaea, the kingdom archaea. Then under the domain eukarya comes the other four kingdoms, that is protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. This is about the six kingdom classification. I think it's clear for you about the six kingdom classification. So first we studied about the two kingdom classification, plantae and animalia. Then we studied about the five kingdom classification. Then after that five kingdom classification, we came across the six kingdom classification. Now we are going to see, according to the six kingdom classification, how we can arrange the level of classification in human beings. We can see that how we can arrange the level of classification in human beings. So we have already told that kingdom animalia comes under the domain eukarya. So domain, this is the level of classification of human beings. Domain eukarya, you should study it. This is also an important part. Domain is eukarya, kingdom animalia, phylum chordata, class mammalia, order primates, then family hominidae, then genus Homo, species sapiens. So the scientific name of humans is Homo sapiens. So this is about the scientific name of humans. I think it's clear for you about the scientific name of humans. Now next, the last topic is about the virus. You all know that we are under the threat of, we are not we are not escaping from the attack of corona. That is caused by a virus called COVID-19. So about the virus, how the structure of virus, that we can see. So many different diseases are caused by this virus. Now we can see about the structure of the virus, how the virus is. You can see the structure of virus. In your textbook, we are having this page. Catch me if you can. That is the title given for that. That is acellular. They are not having a cell. with only protein code and the genetic material. So a virus is not having a cell, that is S cellular, without a cell. So it's S cellular with only protein code and the genetic material. So a protein code will be there, and inside that genetic material will be there. And that virus is introducing. I am a pathogen, positive organism of many dreadful diseases. So those microorganisms that cause many diseases, that is known as the pathogen. So virus is also a pathogen. It will cause many diseases. It can be destroyed easily. Here it's told I can't be. That is the virus is introducing itself. Like that it is written there. That's why it's given as I can't be destroyed easily. So this virus cannot be destroyed easily. If it is entering our body, it cannot be destroyed easily. Then it can be only live inside a live cell. So if it is entering anyone's body, only it can live. If it is outside our body, it cannot live. But if it enters our body, it will live and multiply inside our body and will cause many diseases to us. I am inactive outside the cell. So if it is not inside our body, it is not active. It is inactive and it will not multiply. Then when I enter the host cell means the body in which it is entering, that body is called as the host. And the cells in that body is called as the host cell. I multiply using the materials there. So if the virus enters our body, it is multiplying using the material inside our body. I multiply rapidly and destroy that cell. So it will multiply and very rapidly, and it will multiply very fastly and destroy that cell, destroy our cell. Then I enter new cells. So it will spread to the next cell also. Our world is a world full of mysteries. That means we cannot find them very easily. And so many viruses are there in this world. One of example is given, there is a structure given, and there is a HIV virus. So like that, so many different kinds of viruses are there in our body, in our world. If any of the virus enter our body, it will affect the cells. It will destroy the cells, will produce some toxins, and it will cause the diseases for us. So be careful with the. We should have maintain proper personal hygiene. Otherwise, if any viruses enters our body, what will happen? It will cause so many dreadful diseases for us. Is it clear for you? So this is about our chapter. So in this chapter, we have studied about how we can classify the organisms. What is the level of classification of organism, different scientific name of each organisms. You should keep in mind about the scientific names. The scientific name of cow is Bos taurus, and the scientific name of crow is Corvus plantans. Then scientific name of Canicona is Cassia fistula. Likewise, so many scientific names are given in your textbook. You should study all these scientific names because it's very important. And this chapter, we have studied about how we should name the organism, what about the scientific, what is the importance of this scientific name. All this we have studied, and this is a very important part. Binomial nomenclature is a very important part. You should study all these things, and if you are having any doubt, we can clear it through the WhatsApp. I think it's clear for you about this chapter. It's clear for you. Okay, thank you.